Hi, my name is Keith Fitch, and welcome to the Pink Powerhouse Show, brought to you by Society Bites Radio, which is a part of the Radio Ear Network family. Today, I am so honored to have a world-class, empowering woman as a guest today on the Pink Powerhouse Show. Her name is Taryn Morgan. She is the Director of Athletic and Personal Development at IMG Academy here in Bradenton, Florida, where she oversees a staff of 60-plus specialists in athletic training, physical conditioning, mental conditioning, leadership, nutrition, sports science, and vision training. Daily, she oversees and utilizes an interdisciplinary approach to work with over 1,200 athletes of varying sports, cultures, ages, and levels. Taryn was a highly competitive tennis player herself, where she reached rankings as high as number 1 in Florida and number 9 in the U.S. She played 4 varsity sports in high school: tennis, volleyball, basketball, and softball, and was a 2-sport Division I collegiate athlete at Stetson University in tennis and volleyball, while also receiving degrees in exercise science and psychology. This is a good one. She was inducted into the Stetson University Athletic Hall of Fame in 2006 and the Atlantic Sun Conference Hall of Fame in 2018. She pursued her passion of training athletes to be mentally tough and obtained a master's degree in sports psychology from the University of Florida and her doctorate degree in sports psychology from the University of Tennessee. She is an Association for Applied Sports Psychology certified mental performance consultant and is listed in the USOC Sport Psychology Registry. She was the vice chair of the AASP Certification Committee and served on the Interim Certification Council. She's co-authored books, book chapters, journal articles, and she is just nationally and internationally known for high performance mindset. Since being at IMG, she's been instrumental in managing and organizing the day-to-day programming and scheduling of 8 sports, as well as leading the NFL Combine training, that program for that. Her work spans across many domains, including the 8 sports at IMG, but also international and Olympic figure skaters, collegiate teams, bull riders, interesting, esports athletes, and corporate groups. Got to dive into that one. Her passion is to make a difference in people's lives, and clearly she's been doing that. And she's helping them find the simplest way to reach their potential, both in and out of sport. Listen, welcome. You are quite accomplished.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Man, that was quite a bit. Let's talk about your background a little bit, because you have such an interesting path, and the position that you're in, and the amount of people that you interact with. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of special skill to do that. So let's talk about your background and, what brought you here.
Sure. Well, I actually grew up in Florida a couple hours.
Okay.
Yeah. A very small town called Okahumpka, Florida, which not too many people know about.
I'm one of them.
There you go. And so grew up just, in my dad's auto garage. He was an auto mechanic and had a shop over in Eustis, Florida, and just got used to helping him out. And then he actually exchanged some work on the local tennis pro's car and got me going in tennis. Kind of gave some tennis lessons for work on the car. And I guess
how old were you at this point?
I was 4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So started early and, started getting going in tennis and played tennis all throughout my junior age. And then started getting into some other sports too. Just always loved any and all sports, very active. I think my dad put me on a surfboard and water skis when I was 4 too, and just started getting into it. And then, ended up kind of not going that one sport route and did a lot of different sports and wanted to do multiple sports, both in high school and college, and really enjoyed that a lot. But kind of throughout it all, I was also coaching some. My summer job was coaching younger kids. And so really enjoyed that as well. And then helping my dad out at his shop, making appointments and paying bills and kind of being like the administrative assistant. So got both sides. And then just kind of from there, really realized as I was playing tennis that the mental side and the mindset made a difference to whether you won or lost. It made a difference to if you were going to be able to beat someone, especially if you were fairly close in ability. And so I had gone to school for exercise science and loved that part of it. And then kind of all of a sudden realized, wait, there's a field called sports psychology. And wow, I would love to help other people be mentally tougher and help them figure out how to be more confident or how to be calm under pressure or love those situations where, you have a chance to win or lose and it's all on your shoulders. And so kind of did psychology stuff too, really enjoyed that. And that was what started me on the field towards the path of sports psychology, because I really noticed as I was coaching or helping other people after I was done playing was telling them how to hit their strokes better. I was more saying, hey, you've got this, be more confident, or you got to focus on this. And it really just was an eye opener at that point. Pursue that field of sports psychology.
That's very interesting. How much of that? So you before you went back, were you coaching before you went back to get the master's degree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I coached a lot growing up. So in the summers, when I was home from college, I would coach at the local tennis club, Mission Inn, in Howey in the Hills, Florida. And so I'd coach and get to interact or help with camps. And then when I finished my 4 years of playing at Stetson, I only had 2 classes to finish the psych degree. So I decided to stay an extra year, and actually was as an assistant tennis coach. So I went from being a player in 1 year to being the assistant coach in the next year. So yeah, so that really solidified it for me, was the combo of, okay, I was doing some research with a professor at Florida at the time on coachability, and, just kind of coaching, doing that, it all kind of came together to go into that.
You still there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it went out for a second.
Oh, no problem.
And so right now, when you had various jobs that led to the job where you are within IMG.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as that, I'm so interested in the sports psychology, that piece of it, because you guys train world class athletes, and so it's a world class facility. And the whole aspect of sports psychology, is that something that you have all your coaches? Is it a class that you offer there as well, or your coaches, or is it just something that workshop?
Yeah, we have a team. We actually call it mental conditioning. And so when I was looking for a job, it was interesting because there wasn't many places 13 years ago that hired people doing mental conditioning or sports psychology, and it's definitely grown since. But IMG was one of the few places who actually had mental training as part of their normal day-to-day training for the athletes. So Nick Bollettieri, who founded the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy, which has now become IMG Academy, really felt like it was an important component, and had, Jim Lair was here and Chad Bowling was here and a few different people in the field, Charlie Marr as well, who have become pioneers in the field of sports psychology. They were here teaching tennis athletes at the time about how to utilize the mental game, whether it was routines or whether it was breathing or the different tools to become mentally tougher. And so when I was looking for a job, this was one of those few places that actually did mental training. And so it's really a core component to what we do for every single athlete, whether it's a athlete that's here for the 9 months or just a camper in a week, they're still going to get a mental training session. And the funny part, I remember when I was playing junior tennis and you would go to training camps where they would do invite training camps, Jim Lair would come and talk to us. That was my first exposure to it. So I heard him talk about it and just kind of went, oh, I should have a routine. And then ever since then I did. And so something in it just kind of really stuck with me. And And I've seen it change so many people's perspective or perception or the way they do things when they realize that they have control over being positive or negative, or they have control over the habits they create or the preparation they do, which can ultimately make them more confident for their performance.
I love that aspect, how important that is, recognizing that your mental game needs to be at an A level in order for your game to be at A level. And the fact that you guys take so much time, and that's being a core principle with the physical or the sports conditioning. I think that's fascinating. But let's talk about you as, again, you're this head powerful female over at IMG, and the challenges you may have had being in this industry.
Sure. I definitely would say when I first started, I did not expect to be in the job I'm in now. It kind of evolved and emerged. And I think just some of those things that I experienced helped me get there. But when I started as a mental conditioning coach, you know, it was really, ironically, as a female, you tend to get put with the female sports. Yeah. The position I came in, it was for girls soccer. And that was phenomenal because that was one sport I never played. So I had to learn a lot. But I worked with a fabulous coach named Derek Leader, who's out at Grand Canyon University now. But, you know, just immersing yourself and being right there with the athletes and, you know, driving the van to their competitions and being at practice and in the locker room and on the sidelines during the game, it really became a highly immersive experience. And then, you know, we started women's basketball, so I got to work with them. And so kind of really, there is something about, and I notice we still do it a lot of times with our female sports, we'll tend to put our female coaches, which I think is good and bad, you know, in different ways. But then I also got to work with a lot of the different sports. I worked with golfers, I worked with tennis players a lot, especially more recently. And then it was interesting because we did an NFL combine and I said, I want to learn about that. I've always just enjoyed football and, you know, some of my more senior staff members were working on it. And I said, can I help in any way? Can I be there? And my old boss used to work with US Soccer when they were here. Can I come? Can I observe? Can I just see how you're working with basically the under 17 national team? And how can I contribute? And ironically, back then I used to make desserts and that was how I contributed, but that really helped. They love my funfetti cupcakes. Wow. Just finding ways to kind of get into the different opportunities and see how other people were doing it, not only from a male or female perspective, but just people who had been in the field longer than me. And so, yeah, at first it was really focused around that. And then for some reason, I have my scheduling organization out brain is just a part of what happens on a day-to-day basis. And so we have this thing called a program manager who really is responsible for day-to-day operations, scheduling, and the department we're in, it's really cool. We get to work with all the sports. So there's 8 sports and our department works with all of them. And so it's like, somebody's got to organize all these sports schedules. Yeah. We realized the other day, I think in the summer camp, we might have close to 18 schedules for 1 week of camp. Oh, God. In one sport. So it's kind of crazy. So, but for some reason that all made sense. And I like to collaborate across get everybody on the same page. And so kind of started doing that program manager thing, but was still doing the mental training. And then kind of kept progressing where, okay, now there's a little bit more responsibility, different responsibilities. And so was moved into the assistant director role, which again became a little more strategy, higher level type thinking and management of the staff, but still doing mental training. So I still had my tennis groups and was still working with them. And then kind of last year was when I was moved into the director role. And at that point, it was kind of like, okay, you're probably all those mental groups anymore. But then by that point, I had worked so much with the organization and management of NFL Combine that then I was also doing the mental training and the vision training and the schedule management for that program, which is a really interesting world because it's the NFL and it's guys wanting to get drafted. And so you're working with agents and, football coaches who we hire in who have multiple Super Bowl rings and they've done more in their life than I'll ever think about doing.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there at the middle of this group or at the front of the group going, okay, guys, here's how we're going to do this. And so it's really kind of interesting with that. And then obviously